It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Yes, indeed, I am here. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in and being here today with me. Today's show I've got lined up is all about features. And we use that term in landscaping and these trades where we feature certain items. And those features end up being the most important part of the landscape, in my opinion. Now, unfortunately, they're also the first things cut out of the budget due to it has the appearance of something that you don't need necessarily. So when you're just looking at price on these things, features can be cut out very easily. But when you look at functionality, when you look at what's the most important thing that you're going to enjoy and go outside and use, the whole reason to go out there, those features become, in the long run, sometimes it is kind of a tough pill to swallow in the beginning with the budgets of some of these projects, but please think about it, consider it, and reconsider if you're thinking about cutting out features in order to save costs, because you could be cheating yourself out of using that area and having it not be worth as much as you would think because you're just simply not using it as much. So what do I mean by features? The number one, I really think, today anyway, and of course my opinion changes over time, but I really love fire features. I think having a fire feature, and again, it could be important to you, it could not be of importance to you, but to me, a lot of our customers work during the day. You come home in the evening, they spend a lot of money with us getting their yards all fixed up and looking gorgeous and beautiful. But if you're going to be cold and you go outside, it's going to be difficult to go sit outside and enjoy your yard with, no fire pit. So to me, coming home after work and wanting to go outside and enjoy your investment in your landscaping, a fire pit is huge, big deal. Now, when you're adding all these things together, I need a patio, I need, sod, sprinklers, plants, edging, all the normal stuff, and you give someone a price and they say, okay, and then here's how much if we do it with a fire pit. And if you just look at the numbers, because these bids, you have to look at the numbers, obviously. It's going to be a line item. You can really just kind of X off, say, do we need the fire pit? I don't know. It'll save us, X amount of dollars or whatever if we don't get it. And think, that sounds good. And then you don't get it. And then you don't find yourself enjoying your patio as much. And I really think that goes for most of the features. So I wanted to do a whole show on features today. So let's get rocking and rolling on it. So I really believe we do a lot of pavers. We're Chaparral Pavers. We do a lot of paver back patios. And we're tearing out old, broken, cracked up concrete. And we want to put down something that's going to be really nice. And some of these projects, yes, you can take on yourself, and I want you to really think about everything that's going to go into that, because as I've said on a couple previous shows, I'm kind of letting you guys in on the fact that I'm re-landscaping my yard right now, and it just kind of really made me realize my wife went out there and we were digging everything out for the pavers. Of course, I'm going to put a fire pit on my patio, and so I've got to run the gas line underneath. So you have to think of these things, ahead of time and start to realize how many pipes and infrastructure, drains, electrical lines, any sleeves for landscape lighting wire, irrigation, all that stuff. If you want extra hose bibs, a lot of pipes end up running underneath the pavers. There's a network of infrastructure underneath. And so when my wife went out and commented on that, it's like, wow, she couldn't believe, I had drain pipes going and electrical lines, like I said, gas lines, everything ready so that when we put those pavers down, we're ready for all the features. We're ready for anything that could either come up or I've already have intended use for it. So think about that if you're doing a new paver patio, especially if you're taking on that project for yourself, really think it through. Am I going to do a water feature? over here in the corner, do I need a plug? If I'm doing this fire feature like we're talking about, you're going to need a gas line. And, what are other features? Outdoor barbecue islands, the water features, fire features, outdoor lighting. I think you can feature objects with lighting, or the lighting itself can be a feature. And again, that magic hour of dusk, the best time of day. I absolutely love dusk. It just seems magical, I mean, even photography, I love photography as well. And when you're taking pictures and things, that they call it the golden hours. The sun is setting, the light gets really soft, there's very little shadows, there's no harsh light in people's eyes. So it's a magical time to take pictures because everybody looks really good right about sunset. And it's also when you're coming home from work, you're done with the day, you're there to relax, enjoy your yard. Landscape lighting and featuring things with light is huge. Having that fire feature and the flicker of the flames, the warmth going out there. I just don't see how it's complete without that. You take those things away, yeah, you could have a nice patio and plants and sod, and it's going to be really dark out there at night and probably not going to go out and use it. So think about the use. And if you think that you're really going to be using it more, then I definitely would, if you added the features in, then I think it's well worth the money spent. And that's the key. Spend smart money, spend money on things that you're going to use, especially things that you're going to use every single day. That's, to me, one of the best uses for money. Your home is obviously an investment. It's much better investment than a car or other things that devalue really quickly. And you're living in your money and you're experiencing it. And so I want you to have the best experience, of course. If you're hiring us to do your job, or if you're doing it yourself, just listening to this radio show and getting tips, think about the features. How many features do you want? I want them all. As many as I could fit back there that make sense to me for what I like. I love music. I love all art, really. The landscaping, the design aspect of it. Like I was talking about, the photography is a form of art. I love music. I'm a musician. I love playing and creating songs and really, really listening to music, not just having it be, background noise. So that brings up another idea. Speakers. Outdoor speakers can be considered a feature. Easily cut off the budget. But man, when it's time for the family gatherings, parties, just you relaxing back there, music is huge. It can relax you, and it stimulates a different part of the brain. It's scientifically proven or whatever. You act differently, especially if it's a song that you know and love. It can bring back memories. So that's the magic. You've got some nice music playing, something familiar, fire pits on, the lighting's going on. We can talk about water features. When you go to a nursery, and this is kind of what I like to describe, is you're going out to buy some plants at a nursery, you're walking through, or maybe it's a weekend, or you're in Cambria, or you're doing, hey, let's go walk through this nursery, and they have all the fountains. A lot of nurseries that I go to have a lot of fountains all on at the same time. It's really cool. It's a neat sound. And especially if they have some sort of overhead structure and big ferns and tall trees and all these plants around you, you feel you're outside, you're in nature, and you hear all these fountains, and it's just immediately serene. And so, if you looked at the water features and line item on the budget, cut it. Doesn't make sense, because it's just making the price go higher. But not all money is only one concern. It is a concern, obviously, and it's a big part of what you can do on these jobs. But it's not the only concern. Really think about how you're going to use it, and maybe cut something else out. A lot of times I'll tell people, especially if you're having it professionally done, cut out the plants. Most people can dig a hole, plant a plant. You can go down to a box store, get relatively, inexpensive plants. If you make a mistake, dig it out, go get another one, plant something different in there. It's kind of fun. Trial and error gets you outside. So if you don't feel you could take on the pavers and the fire pit and the barbecue and lighting and speakers, all this kind of stuff, have that all done professionally, and then you can do the plantings. Pretty much anybody can roll out sod, Maybe you want to have them do the sprinklers. Maybe you figure you could maybe do the sprinklers yourself. I don't know. But there's other ways to save money on the budgets besides cutting the features out. And it bums me out that they're always the first thing cut. So I try to make them not be, and like I said, I try to come up with other ways of doing it, weight on the fencing, just shore up that fence with a steel post or something if the fence is falling over, and save the money and do the fence later. If it's just one post or two posts that are rotten, just fix the posts, and you're not even going to barely see that fence, but you're going to really enjoy a fire pit. You're really going to be able to enjoy a water feature, and not just from outside. Sometimes I'll get that, well, we don't really go outside all the time. I don't know how much I'm going to use my water feature. I said, well, open the window. You can hear it throughout the house. If it's placed properly and it's done right, and we can get into the different types of water features, because fountains, yeah, and that's going to be the most reasonable way. I'd rather see you have a fountain than no water feature, but it's my least favorite water feature just because they run out of water really fast. They're tiny little holes and little tiny pumps that you have to be replaced. And they're kind of hard. You got to level them. So, and you're trying to fill them up all the time. I don't know, not a huge fan of fountains, but there's these aqua basins that you can bury in the ground. They hold large amounts of water. You can put basalt stones on top there. You can do bubbling urns. You can go to a stream, that looks like what they call a pondless waterfall. No pond, just a little bit of a stream and some running water. You can do it with a liner and some pumps, however you choose to do it. And then you could, I guess, if you want to go full bore, koi pond and waterfall and all that, but I think that would, be a little more extreme. That's definitely going to be the most costly and the most maintenance, but simple water features, or if you are going to get a fountain, get one with a large bowl. Get one that holds the most water it can hold, or the least splashiest. And I'm sure I just made that word up, but you don't want it splashing too much, because the more it splashes, and you can see it usually if it's running there at the nursery or whatever, if you're going to buy one of those, see how much it splashes, and keep in mind it's going to run itself out of water pretty quick. So be smart about water features. Fire features, if you're a big campfire people and you don't mind, smoke and kindling and wood and doing all that, that's going to be the most reasonable and the easiest way to get a fire feature is do the wood burning. I think the gas burning is the way to go. Everybody pretty much has natural gas or propane, piped out there to the house. And, and it's pretty reasonable. I mean, it doesn't cost a whole lot. Natural gas, as far as bills go and utilities, you're not using a whole lot of money to burn a fire pit. And you can turn it on 15, 20 minutes, turn it off. You don't have to worry about putting the fire out. At the end of the evening, there's no smoke in your eyes, or whatever. You smell like smoke all over your clothes going in the house. That doesn't bug you, and you love the, maybe your little tendency to be a little pyro. That's great. Have fun. Go out there and enjoy it, and you will. So very important. Lighting, when really anything could be a feature. It could be a statue, it could be a bird bath, it could be, some boulders, a dry creek. If you don't want to go the full-on, water route, do a dry creek, put some lighting on it, highlight some boulders, and have that feature, and that it just feels really good. You can put plants and bark, sure, but if you put boulders and a dry creek and lights, that's a feature. It doesn't have to be extreme like some of these things, like we're talking about a full-on, outdoor kitchen. Now that's nice if that's something that you want, but make sure you're really going to use everything. Think about it. Well, I'm doing my yard, like I said, and I said, well, okay, I barbecue. I love red oak. That's what I do. So I'm not even running natural gas to the barbecue island, because I don't mind smelling like red oak when I'm cooking ribeyes. But I thought, well, maybe I'll do a side burner, run gas over there for that. I've never once thought really missed it, oh, I sure wish I had a side burner out here. I was just thinking of it just because I know it's an option. I did want to put a sink. So I bought a sink and a faucet so that I could at least wash my hands out there. You know, you might want a fridge or go full bore or whatever, but I have a little fridge in my garage. So I just did kind of minimal on the barbecue island. And I think, you know, so think about what it is that you need and what you're really going to use and be smart about the money that way, for sure. Also, even a little low wall could be a feature. And just slightly raised planter along the back of the fence, or if you have a block wall, maybe you can go up 18 inches, 2 feet, give yourself some dimension. Again, with the lighting is huge. In the evening, it really helps feature items. So it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It could features can be very simple and useful, and they absolutely add so much usability and will attract you and just pull you out there. Nothing pulls you out into a backyard more than a fire pit, in my opinion. That's why I really say I think that's number one. It's like when you go out to a restaurant or a bar and there are no seats available and you're waiting for your reservation for your table or whatever you're sitting, and you go get a couple drinks. And if they have a fire pit, that's exactly where you're going to go and hang out. It just draws you like a moth to a flame. You want to go out there and hang out by the fire pit, have a drink, and you feel like you're going to be warm. You know, even if it's not alcohol, it could be sweet tea or a nice cool glass of water. So yeah, whatever you like. So it's just it's a state of mind, and it's a state of relaxation, and that's really what you're trying to create with an outdoor space. And feel like you don't have to go out necessarily, you know? I mean, if you go out to hotels and resorts and things, and you go and as you're walking around the grounds, you know, if things seem nice to you, notice those things. What is it about this place that makes me feel relaxed, you know? Am I going poolside? Am I sitting by? Do they have a fire pit out there? Is it, what time of day is it? Is it the evening? You know, is it dusk, sunset? Do they have speakers and music going? Is there lights going around? All those things you can do at your house, you know, really. So on a smaller scale, you know, it's not have to be a full-on resort. If you can afford to put a swimming pool in, great. You know, it adds a lot of atmosphere, or a hot tub. You know, those obviously are major features as well. And again, it's all personal preference. I'm letting you know what my personal preferences are and what I love. And so I really plan on having all these features that we're talking about in my yard, and I'm trying to do them one at a time, figure them out, what I want to do, how do I want to do them, what pipes do I need to run ahead of time. For my fire pit, I'm doing a natural gas fire pit. My water feature, I'm going to use one of those little aqua basins that I was talking about, buried in the ground, holds 90 gallons of water. Now, my wife has this fountain that she's had for years, since before we met, and she's carried it around house to house. And it was the classic, not enough water, maybe it holds like 5 gallons of water, tiny little hole. I can barely get my hands in there. Pump's always going out. And I'd clean it out, fill it up with water. I got it to run. I put it on a little remote. The thing would run out of water in a week, you know, or what would happen is there'd be just a tiny bit of water where the pump would be, you know, doing that little gurgling sound, and it would sit in there and start growing mold and moss, and leaves would collect in there and make a big old mess. I had to clean it out. And so most of the time it ended up not being running. So what I am going to do is I'm putting it on top of that basin, and instead of using a basalt stone or an urn or something that would be bubbling, I'm going to use that fountain as the urn, and I'm going to have that water bubbling up from the middle of it and going over the sides of it, and it's going to look like it's just going into the planter bed, which in reality underneath there's going to be that aqua basin, and the pumps inside they're super easy. And then I'm going to do my little lights around there, so I've run the conduit for all the lighting, and I'm going to have the outdoor speakers back there. And, you know, and so there's one other thing I did forget to mention, and it was about these privacy panels. Instead of doing fencing, it's a decorative way. So we're going to get to that right on the other side of the break. If you want to hear this show or any of these past shows that we've done, you can go to YouTube and type in Chaparral Pavers on YouTube. And of course, you can always check us out on our website at ilovetoComeHome.com. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
Chaparral Pavers. ilovetoComeHome.com. Imagine the flickering flames and warmth of a fire pit, soothing sounds of trickling water, decorative lighting, highlighting your landscape at dusk. Driveways and patios, not only functional, but a work of art. This is what Chaparral Pavers does for your landscape lifestyle. You'll love to come home. Chaparral Pavers. Visit us now at ilovetoComeHome.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetoComeHome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking about features. Yes, in the landscaping. The features, I really, honestly, truly believe that they are the most important thing you can do, even if you just picked one. And please reconsider when you're thinking about cutting them out of the budget, the first things off the top. They're easy things to identify budget-wise and get rid of, and it's like taking the fun out of it. So that's why I wanted to kind of devote this whole show to this topic. I'm talking about fire features, water features, lighting can be a feature, or lighting can light up an object to become a feature. There's even specialty lighting like bollards that have certain patterns they can put on the ground, so the light itself could be a nice feature. Outdoor speakers is a wonderful feature in addition to any landscaping. Music can completely change the feel of the area, can hide background noises, dogs barking, traffic, all this kind of thing. And water features, of course, help with that as well. Barbecue islands, low walls. There's so many ideas. I could go on and on and on. We don't have all day. The one thing I did want to talk about, and I promise, was another idea that I had about these privacy panels, which are similar to fencing, but they are made out of wood, and you can get different types and styles of these panels, and you can use them really instead of fencing or in front of the fencing. You can light them up, and they have decorative patterns to them, and they can be quite a nice feature. So if you're thinking on replacing your fence because it's ugly, if it's still standing up and still in decent shape enough to divide the property line, leave the fence and do these decorative garden panels or privacy panels, screens, whatever you want to call them. If the fence is falling over, just think about maybe just fix the fence fix the posts that are falling over, leave the ugly fence and put these panels up in front. Way better money spent than the same exact thing you're looking at, but new. So, that's one idea I did want to talk about. And if you don't know anything about it and what they are, feel free to give us a call. We've got catalogs, whatever. You can even buy those products direct from us without us installing them. So let me know on that. Very, very important to have some sort of feature, some sort of interest. And I'm not necessarily talking about the focal point in design of landscape design. You have focal points and balance And, you repeat things throughout to kind of have things feel designed, but focal points are important in design, and these features can be focal points. And in that regard, they're serving two purposes, because what I mean by features is usability, really, more than anything else. And a way to lift up a landscape from an average, nice-looking landscape. What makes it special? What makes it magical? What gets the wow factor is features and usability. Being able to go out and truly have that be extra square feet of your home, that warmth of that fire pit, or even heaters for that matter. You can use heaters, but you're going to be warm, but really the heaters aren't pretty. There's these metal things, and it's functional. But a feature, that flickering of that flame, the fire pit, the pit itself can be made out of, nice culture stone or some sort of cap or block, or I have a copper bowl, hand-hammered, pre-patinaed copper bowl at my house. Those are available, but that is a feature, something that feels wow, something that's usable. You go out there to barbecue and you just feel like, like a king back there. You say, okay, I'm barbecuing my food. We're having a great time. People are over here. We got the music going. We got the fire pit going, the sound of water trickling. That's how you do it. I mean, that's how you get a really wow landscape versus, it looks nice, or, oh my goodness, this is an amazing backyard. It's features. And so the more the better. And again, it's all personalized, subjective. What if it makes sense to you, do it. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. If you don't like sitting, by a fire pit and you just can't see yourself doing that, then pick something else. If you don't like, maybe the sound of water, like some of these water features I've heard, they're too much and they're loud. And so be careful, because it can be annoying, and you certainly don't want that. Or have some sort of control over them, like an adjustable pump where you can have control over how fast that water is, coming out of the pump, and you can reduce it and make it kind of mellow and trickly, or turn it up if you want a little more sound. Okay, that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. In the meanwhile, check us out on the web, ilovetocomehome.com. Okay, see you next week.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetocomehome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.